Hey, hey, hey. Time for another Out of This World episode from rSpace. Dealing with a cheater is emotionally devastating and can change who you are as a person. Today on rSpace, we get up close and personal with those that cheaters have left behind. Get your tissues ready. Up first, is everything bigger in Texas? Even cheaters? Divorcing my cheating partner and destroying affair partner's house. Here's the rundown. Been together 10 years, married 5, 1 kid, baby on the way. Things have been rocky. He was emotionally distant. Her. Works with her. She's a friend. Went out to the bar a few times, sent heart eye emojis. Finally found out they kissed. He says that's not cheating. Very emotionally involved with each other. He doesn't want our children having to live a life with divorced parents. Ha! The woman called me today, apologized, said she was more invested than him. She was so sorry. She definitely would not have done it if she knew I were pregnant. He just told her he found out. He's known for 5 weeks. I'm filing for divorce. Would you all leave too? Update. I ended up talking to her husband, and apparently he is a recovering alcoholic and is now drunk out of his mind with the children at home, and she called me to yell at me about how it was my fault that he is drinking again, and now her children are in danger. The F? You and the significant other did this. Update 2. He basically destroyed their house and she is scared. This was all because of friendly banter my significant other and her were having. My significant other continues to support her. I left. I'm in a hotel. Not going back for 3 days except to get my daughter ready for school. I'm going to relax and enjoy myself. Update 3. If you know any affordable divorce lawyers in Texas, please let me know. I don't have a support system, so moving out is not an option for me right now. I also don't have a great job as I took a 50% pay cut to be able to work from home to spend more time with my daughter. I have no idea where to go from here. My family lives in Missouri. Taking time for yourself, OP, is the best thing you can do right now. It will allow you to decompress. It will also allow you to collect your thoughts and grieve the situation. Pain is pain. A time limit will not diminish the hurt or betrayal you felt after being cheated on. Grieving is an additional process that takes time. New relationships and other distractions will not make it go by any faster. Take time to think about what you want out of life. You need to be completely honest with yourself. Moreover, it's unbelievable that she called to harass you about it all. I'm so sorry that this is all happening while you're preparing to have a baby. I'm so sorry you've been uprooted. You're already taking the right steps for you and your children's happiness. Let us know what your first steps would be in the comments below. The community obviously has some thoughts. Struggle City starts us off. Wow, he really tried to justify it. And hell yes, you deserve so much better. If he didn't want your children to live a life with divorced parents, then he shouldn't have cheated. Sounds like he lies to the both of you too. What a piece of crap. The OP responds, that's what I wanted her to understand too. She's an idiot on various levels. Our next thought from ETAC No. Yes, since he's not remorseful. If he thinks that what he is doing is not cheating, nothing will stop him from doing it again. So, she apologized because you're pregnant and not because he's married with a child? Yeah, he and the affair partner deserve each other. Next comment from FE02333. Your best bet is to leave. He has gaslighted you about them kissing and the woman knew he was married but drew the line when she found out you were pregnant? I'd leave because if you don't, you'll always wonder if he is doing it with someone else. Next comment from Hawk3. Oh gosh, you are my hero and a superwoman. You are so strong. This was a pretty awful situation, but you got a clear picture into his character. Yes, let her have him. Don't give her any more info about him. She may reject him, and then you might be stuck trying to get rid of him again. From experience, if you divorce when kids are toddlers, they generally will have minimal memories of the time pre-divorce. My kids tell me they have no memories. It will be easier to do so now than after the birth. Up next, this mommy made a bad choice and now she pays the price. My family was torn apart by my mother's affair. Seeking advice, I guess. Hey all, I'm not exactly sure where to begin with this post. I'm a 21-year-old male, and I grew up in what I consider to be a happy, loving family with no signs of unrest or unhappiness. But in August of 2020, my mom, 50 female, was caught in an affair with her high school boyfriend by my dad, 54 male. 2 weeks later, he decided on a divorce. On August 18th, they told my little sister about the divorce on the drive to her first year of college, and I learned a few hours later at home. 2 days later, I left for my second year of college. The whole experience was extremely traumatic, as I only had a couple of days to process everything before I left my childhood home of 17 years for the final time. They sold the house at the end of September, and I will likely never go back. My sister still hasn't spoken to my mom since August 19th of 2020. In the following months after the divorce, my dad moved to the town I lived in for college, and I moved in with him. This might seem strange to some, but my dad and I have always been extremely close, and it felt like the obvious choice for both of our needs. I am incredibly thankful that this worked out the way it did. Today, he has recovered incredibly and seems content with life. My dad and I are closer than ever before, and I have no doubt that will remain so. We ski, bike together a few times a week. In the meantime, I've struggled tremendously to somehow repair my relationship with my mother. For the first couple of months, I would call her only to discuss the affair, and I would yell and ask extremely difficult questions to her about why she tore our lives apart, and especially, what did you think was going to happen? But my mom is a quiet and reserved person, and also has a strong tendency to paint herself as the victim in any confrontation, which has been incredibly stressful for me back then and now. She has a knack for saying, "It doesn't matter, it already happened," in response to any of my attempts at closure, or just honest communication between us. I'll talk about my sister and how she's still hurting from all this, and my mom will respond with things like, "Oh, so it's all my fault then, isn't it? I guess I should just go away forever since nobody cares about me." Obviously, you can't really understand and heal from an affair and divorce when the person you need to heal with responds in this way. I'm always pulling all the weight and doing all the talking in these conversations, and she just goes along with it. I still don't really even know why she chose to cheat on my dad, and all of our friends and extended family were shocked and devastated by the news of my family's separation, as my parents never fought, never had any issues really, and seemed like an idyllic family to those inside and out. I only mention this to emphasize how blindsided we all were by this happening. I still call my mom once or twice a week, and we mostly make small talk about anything but the terrible things that happened to us. During this time, I was also attending therapy through my school, and I learned quite a bit about myself, including that I am on the autism spectrum. I also learned mindfulness techniques, and I improved at not needing the why behind the actions of my mother. In some ways, my relationship with my mother improved because of this. At the least, my own mental health and ability to cope with my trauma and newly discovered ASD improved significantly. I stopped attending therapy when I graduated in June of 2021. In May of 2021, my mom called to tell me that she had chosen to give away my 2 childhood dogs to another family that none of us had ever met. Of course, this was a devastating blow to my already incredibly strained relationship with my mom. In theory, I could have taken them and brought them here. My family lived in Texas, but I now live in Colorado. But it would have dramatically impacted the lifestyle that I've worked hard to achieve. I felt, and still feel, that since she was the one who tore apart the dog's home in the first place, she should bear the burden of caring for them. She would never admit it to me, but the reason she gave them away was that she had moved to a nice apartment in an upscale area of the city and was unwilling to move to a place with a backyard even though she could afford it. Her apartment environment, naturally, was very stressful for our dogs because they were fairly high maintenance and had lived their whole lives prior with direct access to a backyard. I went to see them at their new home once last summer, and it was incredibly traumatic for me. Although I was happy to see them, I was mortified by seeing them displaced from where I feel that they belong. The reason I'm writing this now is that although my relationship with my mom has marginally improved over the past year and a half, I still feel like I haven't really processed the trauma I went through, and my mother seems content with running from the difficult conversations we'd certainly need to have to really heal our relationship. When I bring up uncomfortable truths or ask her difficult questions, she frames everything as if she is the victim of some great injustice, or gaslights me about the events that took place, what the responsibility she bears in them, and how valid my feelings are towards her. I still love my mom, and I'd like to have a healthy relationship with her again, but she doesn't seem to understand that I can't simply bury all of those feelings and pretend to trust her and respect her again. She ruined everything that I cared about the most, and once everything was damaged beyond repair, she took the one thing that was still innocent and untainted by the affair, my childhood pets, and ruined that too. I'm overwhelmed with grief from the loss of my family, the mother I knew, the dogs, my house, my old life, and more. I have nightmares about being betrayed by people I love. I go down long mental paths of rumination and exhaust myself trying to figure out why she did this to us, because I can't accept that she's a bad person. I'm ashamed to admit this one, but I also certainly wrestle with feelings of hatred towards women, and I'm afraid that between the family trauma and my Asperger's, I won't even have a healthy romantic relationship or a family of my own. In summary, despite the therapy and consistent communication with my mom, I still don't feel like I've healed from all of this, and the openness and trust that I need from my mother seems impossible to receive. I am never sure if maintaining my relationship with my mom is really worth it. What do you guys think? Am I justified in feeling so angry and conflicted? If you were me, would you have ever even given your mother a chance? What strategies would you use to develop a new, healthy relationship with your parent? I do love her, and I want to be close to her again somehow, but sometimes I think that's an unrealistic goal. I'd really appreciate any feedback or insights that you might have. Even if you don't have any insights for me, I've, in a way, enjoyed venting my thoughts about this through my keyboard, so thanks for reading at the very least. OP, from what you've just said, you've done tremendously well despite the cards you've been dealt. It's tremendously difficult to mourn the loss of a life you had envisioned. You are completely justified to feel angry and conflicted. Take your time navigating these emotions and these triggers. You've done so well so far, and you've even sought therapy. I encourage you to continue to do this, as this will allow you to uncover more of your feelings and emotions in regard to the situation and your mother. It's natural to hold on to anger, and everyone processes grief and trauma differently. There's never a good time to find out about infidelity, but it also happened while you and your sister were in a very transitional time in your lives, which is traumatic in itself. I think taking your time with building your relationship is best, and it's exactly what you're doing. Although it will be hard, I think working on forgiving her will help your anger towards her and the situation, OP. More likely than not, she's also going through some sort of healing of her own and has to process some things still. This explains why she's not entirely talking to you about what happened, and that's okay. Focus on you and your healing, and eventually the conversations will happen. Now it's the turn for the community to react. Terser78 starts us off. I think you are wasting time with your mother. If you didn't contact her, would she reach out to you? You realize your mother is the source of your hatred towards women, right? Combined with everything else, your mother is a severely mentally broken person. She lacks an ability to empathize with her actions. The complete lack of touch with giving away your dogs proves that. Your mother is a narcissist. Your father is better that she's no longer in his life. Your sister is too. And one day, when you recognize that nothing you do matters, you will too. Your mother will die alone. Her affair partner will one day abandon her the same way those relationships always fail. And she'll still think she's the victim. She is an abusive parent. Your father likely shielded you from much of the abuse you never recognized. Seek out some topics on abusive parents. Look at the subreddits dedicated to abusive parents. You need to reconcile that you no longer recognize this woman. The OP responds, if I didn't contact her, I imagine she would text me, but never call me. I definitely wouldn't consider her an abusive parent. Despite what's happened, she was always a good mom to me. I don't think she's a bad person, just terribly misguided and, like you said, broken. She's wrapped herself in so many defense mechanisms to cope with what she did to us. I don't think she's a narcissist. In fact, her self-esteem is so dramatically low that I'd say the opposite. Selfish in her actions, yes, but not a narcissist personality. I suspect that, like me, you've been betrayed by someone you love. But even then, things aren't so black and white. Love is complicated. Thanks for the response. I really do appreciate it. Our next comment comes from HotLaquat4145. When your mom responds with, "Oh, so this is all my fault. I guess I should just go away since nobody cares about me," she's saying that to guilt you as well as speaking in extreme for you to verbally disagree. She's tricking you into reassuring her. She stonewalls the conversation and doesn't answer. These things are absolutely considered abusive, and maybe right now it's hard to think of it as such, but it is. It took me a long while to recognize this with my mother also. I was starting my first treatment round for breast cancer right when COVID hit. She wanted to fly across the country to be with me, later saying she needed a vacation. We weren't doing well prior to my diagnosis. I told her we needed to stop talking 6 days before getting my results due to realizing the mass amounts of manipulation happening for financial gain. I told her about the cancer, but did not want the stress I felt being around her. When I told her it wasn't safe for either one of us, her age, health, me having zero immune system for treatment, she would go into rage fits and say I must not love her. I'd get texts daily asking if she could come and saying stuff like, "No pressure, really up to you." When I still declined, she'd scold me and say stuff along the lines of, "I don't know what I've done to make you hate me so much." It's an extreme exaggeration that she's looking for me to deny to reassure her of my feelings toward her. This went on for months. I cut it off and went no contact August of 2020. She refuses to ever reflect on her actions or apologize and will continue the narrative that I've abandoned her. She texts every couple of weeks asking me why I hate her. She calls the police often for them to do wellness checks. Your mom seems like my mom, only cares about what's happening to her feelings, and can't stomach the thought of answering for her wrongdoings or her acknowledging she literally created a traumatic event for you and your family. Also, just to chime in on the narcissist bit, there are different types of narcissism, and they absolutely have very, very low self-esteem. Our next comment comes from Fragrant Spray. It's tough because you don't seem to have accepted that your mother doesn't want to fix any problems. She just wants them to go away. So anything you might want to help in healing isn't there. Things like honesty or actual remorse. Finally, once a cheater, always a cheater? Girlfriend cheated on me. My girlfriend, 19, was positive tested with COVID. Me, 23, was really worried about her. I was asking every moment how she feels and if I can do something. She often replies with, "Don't annoy me. Leave me alone or I'll write you later." After the quarantine, I was going for a walk with her. Then her phone vibrating all the time. I saw there were some dudes on the screen. I don't have female friends because she is very jealous, so I thought she also didn't have dudes in her contacts. At night when she was sleeping, I took her phone and started reading the chats. Then I found many nudes she sends to other guys. I was crying and throwing up all night. I asked her if she's hiding something, and she replied, "No, I love you. Everything is okay." I told her what I saw, and she started crying and saying that it will be a failure to leave her because she loves me and will do everything to become a good wife. We were engaged since January. Now I'm asking you what to do. I can't sleep, can't go to work. I don't think I can ever trust her again. But I also love her. My mind is destroying me, and I really need help right now. Sorry for my bad English. I'm from Germany and very, very tired. OP, if you have decided to deal with a cheater, give yourself some time to honestly think about the benefits and detriments of staying in the relationship. No matter which direction you are swaying, you need to be completely honest with yourself about your wants and needs in a relationship from this point on. If you choose to stay in this relationship, can you truly forgive your cheating partner? Your relationship will never be successful if you cannot forgive the act itself, OP. Forgiveness is a difficult road, but it can be done. This road makes it easier for couples by attending couples counseling and opening up about what each party loves and lacks in their current relationship. We've got a couple quick reactions. First, from Gerald in my butthole. Ask for the ring back. If you know her parents, let them know you are no longer with her and why. If she lives with you, tell her to move out. Then, once all that is done, block her on everything and go live your best life. You found her, you can find someone else. Is Anna Mitchell your girlfriend? Our last community comment is from Director 20530. It will be a failure to leave her because she loves you. What the F? She failed when she cheated. Kick her to the curb and walk away. You owe her nothing. Thank you for joining us today on rSpace. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Let us know what you thought of today's content in the comments below. See you next time.